Here's something that doesn't add up. The average Japanese kitchen is about half the size of an American one. No walk-in pantry. Often no dishwasher. Counter space? Barely enough for a cutting board. And yet, walk into that kitchen at 9 p.m., after 3 meals have been cooked in it, and it looks like nobody cooked at all. How? When I lived in Osaka, my landlady's kitchen was smaller than my bathroom back home, and it was spotless every single night. For years I assumed she was just disciplined. I was wrong. It had almost nothing to do with discipline. So today, we're going back inside the home you met in my last video, Yuki's family, on the edge of Kyoto. But this time, we're not leaving the kitchen. From the first pot of rice at 6:30 in the morning to the last dish at 9 at night, we're going to watch exactly how this room cleans itself. And by the end, you'll have 3 kitchen rules you can steal tonight. No renovation, no new gadgets, nothing to buy. Let's start with the rice. 6:30. Yuki is measuring rice into the cooker, and I want you to watch her feet, because for the next 10 minutes, they will barely move. The sink is 1 step to her left. The stove is 1 step to her right. The refrigerator is directly behind her. Everything she needs this morning, knife, cutting board, the 1 pan she'll use, lives inside a triangle she can cross in 2 steps. Most people look at a kitchen like this and feel sorry for it. So cramped, so little storage. But here's the part almost everyone gets backwards. In a big kitchen, mess always has somewhere to go. Another stretch of counter, another drawer to deal with later. And later is where mess is born. In Yuki's kitchen, there is no later. There's 1 cutting board's worth of space. If she wants to slice the fish, the vegetable peelings have to go into the compost bin first. The kitchen physically will not allow 2 messes to exist at the same time. Watch what that means in practice. She peels a carrot. The peels drop straight into the bin at her knee, because there's nowhere else for them to sit. She finishes with the rice paddle. It goes back on its hook, because the counter is needed for the next task. The room enforces its own rules. Yuki isn't tidying. She's just cooking. The tidying is built into the architecture. So here is rule number 1, and it's going to sound strange. The small kitchen is not the problem. The small kitchen is the system. Distance creates mess. Proximity destroys it. You don't need to shrink your kitchen, but tonight, you can shrink your working zone. Pick 1 arm's length stretch of counter, and cook your next meal entirely inside it. Everything else stays clear. You'll feel the difference before the meal is done. Noon. Lunch is simple. Rice, miso soup, a piece of grilled mackerel. And this is where we meet the habit that separates Japanese kitchens from almost everywhere else on Earth. Yuki fillets the fish, and the moment the knife lifts from the board, before the fish even hits the pan, she carries the board and knife to the sink and pours boiling water over both, straight from the kettle. 10 seconds. No antibacterial spray. No scrubbing. Heat does the work, the way it has in Japanese homes for generations. Then the board goes back, still warm, ready for the vegetables. Do you see what just happened? In most kitchens, that cutting board would sit by the sink, waiting to be dealt with after lunch. It would join a pan, then a bowl, then chopsticks, and by 1 o'clock there'd be a small mountain. A mountain that makes you sigh before you even start. Yuki never builds the mountain. Every tool is cleaned in the 10-second gap where most of us just stand there, waiting for the pan to heat. If you've ever worked in a restaurant, you know this idea. Chefs call it clean as you go. But home kitchens in Japan were doing this long before anyone gave it a name, and they do it with 2 tools worth meeting. The first one is hanging on the rail by the sink. It's called a fukin, a dedicated kitchen cloth, and its genius is how thin it is. Thin means it rinses out in 5 seconds and dries in an hour. A cloth that dries fast gives bacteria almost no time to grow, which is why this one unimpressive rag replaces roll after roll of paper towels. Yes, you have to rinse it and hang it. That's a real trade-off, not magic. But it's a few seconds, traded for a trash can that's half as full. The second tool, you already know if you saw my last video. The little mesh net sitting in the drain, catching every scrap before it can even think about clogging the pipe. Prevention. Again, always prevention. By the time the fish comes off the flame, here's the scoreboard. Lunch is ready, and the only things left to wash are 3 plates and 1 pan. The after-lunch cleanup that haunts most households, it already happened. It was invisible. It hid inside the cooking. That's rule number 2. Cleaning is not a phase that comes after cooking. It's a rhythm woven through it. Every recipe has dead time, water coming to a boil, onions softening, rice steaming. In this house, dead time is when tools go home. Steal that tonight. While your pasta water heats, wash the board. That's the whole rule. Mid-afternoon. The kitchen is quiet, and I want to show you what it looks like when nothing is happening, because this is the most photographed and most misunderstood feature of Japanese kitchens. The counter is empty. Not tidy, empty, no toaster, no knife block, no jar of utensils, no cute canisters of flour. The kettle lives on the stove. Everything else lives behind a door or inside a drawer. Every object with one fixed address, exactly like the futons and the shoes in the last video. Foreign visitors see this and think it's minimalism, an aesthetic, something from a magazine. But ask Yuki why the counter is bare, and she won't say a word about beauty. She'll say, "Because I can wipe it in 10 seconds. That's it. That's the entire philosophy. Picture two counters, side by side. A counter with 8 objects on it takes 5 minutes to wipe. You have to lift, shuffle, and resettle every single one, so it gets wiped once a week. A counter with 0 objects takes 1 pass of the cloth, so it gets wiped after every single meal. Same counter, same person. The only difference is friction. And once you see friction, you can't unsee it. Why do we stop wiping counters? Not because we're lazy, because the counter makes us negotiate with 8 objects first. Why does mail pile up on kitchen counters all over the world? Because a flat, mostly empty surface is an invitation. Yuki's counter declines the invitation. A surface that returns to 0 after every use never gets the chance to become a storage shelf. Rule number 3. An empty counter isn't the reward for cleaning. It's the reason cleaning stays easy. Tonight's version: choose just one stretch of counter, even 2 feet of it, and give everything on it a home somewhere else. Protect that one strip for a week. Watch how it changes your relationship with the whole room. Now, before we finish the day, we need to have the honest conversation, the one most videos about Japanese kitchens skip because it complicates the fairy tale. Japanese kitchens are not all like Yuki's. Walk through central Tokyo and you'll find apartment kitchens so small, a single burner, a sink the size of a salad bowl, that many young people barely cook at all. Part of the reason those kitchens stay clean is that dinner comes from the convenience store or the restaurant downstairs. A kitchen that's never used is easy to keep spotless. That's not a cleaning system, that's outsourcing. And the country is changing. Dishwashers, rare a generation ago, are climbing in popularity. Bigger suburban homes have bigger counters. And yes, some of them collect clutter, just like counters everywhere. There are messy kitchens in Japan. There are people in Osaka who hate washing dishes exactly as much as you do. My landlady's neighbor. I saw her kitchen once. Let's just say the fairy tale ended at her door. So why does any of this still matter? Because the 3 rules you just learned were never about being Japanese. They're about what happens when a culture spends generations cooking in small spaces and refuses to accept that small must mean chaotic. The constraint forced the intelligence. Tight space forced the 2-step triangle. No dishwasher forced clean as you go. No storage forced the empty counter. Those solutions were pressure tested for 100 years. And the beautiful thing is, they work even better in a kitchen with room to breathe. You don't need the constraint. You just need what the constraint discovered. 9 o'clock. Dinner is over. Grilled fish again. Rice, pickles, soup. Yuki's husband washes the last plate. Hana dries and puts away. 2 people, 6 minutes, because there was never a mountain to climb. The rhythm ate the mess all day long. And notice where the clean bowls go. Not onto a towel spread across the counter. Above the sink there's a slatted rack, open, not a cabinet, and the bowls drip dry right there, directly over the drain. The water goes exactly where water should go. 1 object, 0 footprint. Then the final pass. The cloth sweeps the empty counter. 10 seconds, 1 motion, nothing to lift. It gets rinsed, wrung out, and hung on its rail, where the night air will dry it stiff by morning. The drain net is emptied into the compost. Lights off. And the kitchen is exactly what it was at 6:30 this morning. 0. Ready. Remember what we said in the last video? The Japanese don't clean when the house gets dirty. They return the house to 0 before mess ever gets a vote. Today, you watch that same idea compressed into one room. The hardest working, fastest dirtying room in any home on Earth. And it held. So let's put the whole day in your pocket. 3 rules. From one small kitchen in Kyoto. Rule 1. Shrink the zone. Distance creates mess. Cook inside 1 arm's length, and clutter loses its hiding places. Rule 2. Clean inside the cooking. Dead time is cleaning time. If the pan is heating, something is being washed. Rule 3. Protect 1 empty surface. Not for beauty, for the 10-second wipe. Friction, not laziness, is the enemy. Now here's my invitation, and you know how this works. Don't do all 3. Pick 1 rule, just 1, and live with it for the next 7 days. Then come back to this video and tell me, and everyone else in the comments, which rule you picked and what changed. The comments under the last video became my favorite part of making it. People sharing what actually worked in their own homes. Let's do it again. Kitchen edition. If this gave you even 1 idea worth trying, hitting subscribe is the best way to say, keep going. And if you haven't seen how this same family runs the rest of the house, the futons, the entryway, the bath, that full day is on your screen right now. I'll see you in the next one.